Welcome to April and Debbie Dish the Truth on Weight Loss, where we share the raw, real, and sometimes messy truth about our weight loss journeys.
I am Debbie, a weight loss coach who lost 100 pounds and have been living in maintenance for 4 years.
And I'm April, a weight loss coach, currently down 75 pounds and continuing my journey to lose more.
Together, we will explore the ups, downs, and everything in between, showing you that lasting weight loss is possible no matter where you are on your path.
And this week, our topic is going to be talking about become a goal digger, finding weight loss wins. And this is about digging around and celebrating even what you think is the silliest thing to celebrate. So Debbie and I were talking before the podcast got started, and we're talking about what we were proud of this week. And we thought, hey, why don't we share this with everybody and show them how to find wins in your day, and that those moments will keep you moving forward in your journey. So I'm going to let Debbie start her day,
It's
her
it,
wins.
it's so funny because I think like cheerleaders, right? I was a
Mhm.
cheerleader. Shocking, I know. And like we cheer for everybody else for their success, and we so often forget or even think that it's wrong to cheer for ourselves. And I mean, April and I were just sitting here going back and forth with things that we were so happy about that we showed up for ourselves, and not in our entire lives. These were things that we were celebrating that were just in the last week, last days. And it was just so great to just sit with a friend and share openly without feeling like we were going to be judged for bragging or for celebrating. And that's what we want you to all learn. Like if you don't have a friend that you can celebrate with, that if it feels like you're bragging, or your partner, they get, Kevin sometimes get sick of hearing me say things, but find somebody to celebrate it with too, because when you say it out of your mouth to somebody, it makes it just so fun. So how did it start? Well, I am up 14 pounds since I'm not, the scale has changed. It is 14 pounds higher than I hit my goal weight. And I know that when I gained 110 pounds in a relatively short period of time, I just ignored the scale. Like the scale kept going up, and I'd go into the next decade of the scale and I'd be like, oh, it's okay. It's all right. I'll get this. I'll get this, until I ended up at 240 pounds and said, I don't know if I can get this anymore. And so some people may think, oh my gosh, you've lost whatever I've lost now, like the number I'm at now, just be happy. But I am happy in my weight. I'm not upset that I'm up 14 pounds. What I am aware of, though, is where my brain goes to justifying that. Like, oh, 14 pounds, it's okay. Becomes 24, becomes this. Like when we justify it. So I said to myself this weekend, how can I show up better? Because weekends for me, everybody says, oh, the weekends are the same. It's just the weekend. It's no different than the weekdays. It is. Like I bet I have written 100 times on social media that weekends are no different. And they are no different in being 2 days of the week. They are different in so many other ways. If you don't work Friday and Saturday or Saturday and Sunday, your brain is left to be like, we're off work, we're relaxed. And we take that to the extreme. So I would go into the weekend knowing it was going to be, or thinking that I was going to be really good, which I hate classifying things good or bad, but I was going to show up for myself. And then the weekend hit, time off hit, everything that I had been dealing with, if I had stressful situations came in, and food was my comfort. So last weekend we had not meal worthy food in the house. So we ended up going out to eat every single meal. And while they were amazing, like Culver's, if you're from Wisconsin, you know that what Culver's is. I've just discovered it since moving to Arizona. It is amazing. And they have great ice cream. But so anyway, all these places that we went were food that I loved and I ate without awareness. And every Monday since probably the end of March, the scale has gone up 3, 4, 5 pounds on the weekends. And so this week, I set myself up for success. I sat down with Kevin. We said, what are we going to eat this weekend? We ordered it all through the local grocery store, which we can just go pick up. So this weekend is different for me because I'm getting to enjoy the weekend doing what we want, knowing I've got my meals in place and ready to go. And the weekend is different. I'm free to enjoy everything and not have to fit it all in to before work or after work. So that's where it's different. I get to embrace the entire day, but food does not have to be different. Or it could be different, but just a little different, not like a whole smorgasbord of eating out down fast food alley, right?
Right. Yeah, I think weekends are tricky for so many people, right? I know I've read a lot about people questioning it. I've had conversations, and even myself, I've talked about it. And when Debbie and I were talking, as she was telling me her story about the weekends, I immediately was like, how many days does that affect, right? And because I tend to be a numbers person, so I was quickly calculating, and 104 days on on average is weekend time for the year. So that's almost, it's not quite, but it's almost a third of the year. It's about 3 to 3.5 months of time. That is a lot of time if you're on a weight loss journey to just wing it or go with the flow, see what happens, not have a plan, it'll be okay. So weekends do come, and it's a fair and normal feeling when that weekend hits and you're like, "Oh, I have a break. I can just not plan," or, "Oh, I have a break. I could just not cook," or and those are all true. You can handle it that way. At the same time, you wanna ask yourself, "How will I feel come Monday if I don't do any of that?" Right? So we try to balance having a little freedom and relaxation, but also it leads me to think, how are you planning and handling your weekday with food if you immediately are like, okay, all
Mhm.
all is free now. So I tend to not try to eat out as much just because I know I have my gluten allergy and I have salt. It's always so much salt, stuff like that. But Kevin and I were out and about this weekend and we ended up having lunch out. So we went to Chipotle and I happened to like it there. So, but I thought about it beforehand. I'm like, cool. Like, I know I don't ever get sick from this place and I can navigate it pretty well. And as we walked in, I'm like, immediately, what could I do different to make it not at, because they give you so much. It's so much, right?
Mm.
Of food. And so when I went up there, I just asked the lady for the white rice because I want rice, so I'm gonna get rid of the rice. And I just said, just do a half of what you normally do. Like, and that took out a lot right there. And then when it came down to like cheese, guacamole, sour cream, all of those things that definitely add a lot more to it in terms of calories and stuff like that, I let myself choose one. So I got the guacamole because I love it.
Mm.
And I try to stay away from dairy anyway, but these are ways to make choices to still have a meal that you'll enjoy and see what can you change differently, right? So I felt really good about lunch. We had a planned meal that we were going to have at home Saturday. It just did not work out, so we ended up getting Five Guys for dinner. So this is very rare that we eat out twice in a day, but it just happened. And these are the moments you want to think about when they do come up because it is out of the norm, but you don't want it to be like, okay, well, I'm just going to have to blow it the whole day because we're doing something out of the norm and it wasn't my plan because that was not our original plan. So I thought about what I could do. So it's a little easier for me because I know I can't have the bun at Five Guys because it's not gluten free. But honestly, if anybody eats there, their lettuce wraps are amazing. They do a really great job with them. They wrap it in lettuce and then they wrap it in like the tin foil so it holds together pretty well. So anyway, I got my burger and I got the fries because I wanted fries as well. And on the way home, usually I will eat them out of the bag. I did not do that. I did take one and then I closed it. I said, I can wait till I get home. And when I got home, I also on the way home was thinking, okay, I can take a portion and get rid of the rest. I do not have to eat the whole portion that they gave me because I really don't need it. And I don't usually feel good after eating all of it. And that's what I was telling myself, like, this is a choice to feel good afterwards. So when I got home, I weighed out a portion that I felt like I would feel good about having, and it was about half of what they gave because they do give a lot, and then I threw out the rest. So I ate my dinner, I felt really good, it fit into my day, and I still stayed because as I've talked about before, I am in a stage where I'm counting calories and macros, and I fit everything that I did into my day yesterday because I was mindful and I made little changes. The little changes do add up, but if anybody knows me, they know I love French fries. And so for me to take a portion of fries and throw them out, the rest of them, because I knew that was enough and I would feel good, I wouldn't feel too sick or heavy afterwards, was a big win for me. And as Debbie was talking, share it with somebody. But if you don't have somebody, because there are people out there, as she mentioned, who might not, say it out loud to yourself, write it down,
Mhm.
send yourself a Marco Polo. Whatever way you can, as silly as it might sound to celebrate, I threw out some French fries and I weighed the portion I wanted. That is the thing you're going to tell your brain that you did great. And that is going to help your brain want to repeat that. Just like when we're younger and we're learning things, for whatever reason, potty training came to mind because I don't have kids. So I don't know why that came to my mind. But it just gave this flash of like when you're training, when you're trying to help your child potty train, you never say like, "Oh, you should know this already," or "Why aren't you already doing this?" You give them a star or you make such a big deal because they use the bathroom because your brain feeds off of celebration. That is promoting your brain to want to do it again, to feel that excitement and to feel that proud, feeling. So celebrate everything that you can think of that happens throughout your day that you made a good choice that you felt good about afterwards.
And I was taking so many notes while you were talking because it's so true. Like just even saying it out loud. Like sometimes I'll just walk around, I'm like, if I did something good at the bank, like as I'm walking to the bathroom, I'll be like, that's a nice job that you did that, right? Like, because we hear it. Like, even though we think it's nothing because it's our thought, it is so much. It directs everything. And what I love about your choice with the French fries is that you thought it out and not from a place of like, you are not having this because you don't need it. Like, how am I going to feel better? How am I going to get to have French fries and honor myself and my body to feel better after? And it wasn't like, I think so many times when we are working on our weight loss journey or even any goal, we feel that beating ourselves up into not eating as much is going to work. And it doesn't feel good. It's like teaching a child, like you said, let's potty train. Well, I'm going to spank you first so you can feel shame about having to learn how to do this. You know what I mean? It's like, why should we I don't know why I spank a potty train, but do you know what I mean? Like, why should we beat ourselves up before we've even done anything? Eating French fries isn't wrong, right? It's a choice. And so how do we do that so it honors it? And for me, if I know that if I go out to a big breakfast, depending on what I order and what I choose to eat of it, can send my brain into, well, you've already messed up the day, you might as well just keep eating all of the things. And I think that if we can find a way to find celebration in how we showed up at that meal, no matter what we ordered, it will change how we think instead of, I really messed up my breakfast this morning. I might as well mess up my entire day. Like, look how I showed up for breakfast. Look how I showed up for French fries, and you chose French fries because you love them, not because it would get the scale to the number you wanted quicker or you think it does. You chose it because you loved them and you ate them from a place that gave you time to celebrate how you showed up. And that's amazing.
Thanks. And I think when you talked about messing up, I am imagining I I'm sure there's exceptions, but most of us at some point have thought, I've screwed up the day. Why not eat blah,
Mm.
blah, 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 too? And it's such a disservice to ourselves, right? So even if you had a larger meal or you overate a little or chose a food that didn't make you feel good after, if you think to yourself, like, oh, that's something to be aware of. Like when I eat past this point at breakfast, I don't feel good. So next time I'm going to try eating a little less, or maybe I won't order this or whatever. Look at these moments as lessons and teachings and learning your body. It is not a failure of yourself or some judgment or you're good or bad or anything like that. These are all just moments that you're tuning into your body and what feels good and what doesn't. I know eating some fries, I feel good. I know eating the whole order of fries, I do not feel good. So that's the lesson I have learned and that I've taken with myself. And I did not let myself beat myself up for too long after overeating fries in the past. I have now learned like it upsets my stomach when I have too many, but I can have a few and that's cool. And I enjoy them. So it's really telling yourself these are all lessons. You're building a relationship with your body where you're hearing what it's telling you works for it and what it doesn't. And still I've heard people say, I know this doesn't feel good in my body. I'm going to eat it anyway because I want it. And then they feel guilty after. It's really, if you're making that choice and if you don't feel good after, say, okay, I made the choice. I knew I wasn't going to feel good. Is it really still worth it to me to continue eating this food knowing I don't feel good? Just start asking yourself these questions from a place of concern and care instead of judgment and wanting to, put yourself down over a choice that you made.
Yeah, and you said it, and I didn't touch on this again, but 103 days. That's a lot of, could you, so
Mm.
no, it's not quite a third, but let's just go with a third. Could you imagine if we didn't show up for our jobs a third of the time? I mean, would we expect to still get paid for the full-time salary or you know what I mean? Like we got to show up fully in our lives. I mean, not there are some days that, we might be a little more tired, but like every day counts. Every day that we show up counts. And I don't know who used to say this, but why focus on, I screwed up the day. You chose a moment to show up and you could say, I screwed up the day, or you could look at how can I save the day or how can I change the day? Maybe not save, because I don't think we all need a life preserver, but like how can we adjust our day so it moves in the direction that we want, even though we overate at breakfast or chose differently at breakfast?
Yeah, and I like when you brought up work. So if you make a mistake at work or at a project or whatever, you don't just say, "Oh, okay, I messed up that project. I'm going home now." You don't do that. You're like, "Oh, you learned from that mistake. You know for the next time if it comes up again in a different situation how to handle it next time." You keep going. For whatever reason, when it comes to food, we just put this morality attachment to it. And of course, a lot of that is society and pressure from outside. But this is really when it comes down to you really have to listen to yourself and you have to learn and you want to teach yourself that no food choice makes me a bad or a good person.
Mhm.
No way that I choose to lose weight is better than another. I do see and I've noticed that sometimes when we lose weight, especially when we've been successful, people tend to get into a self-righteous mode. Like, I did this. This is the way. And it could be the way. And that's why you want to try it if it sounds good to you. But there's no right or wrong way as long as you're, doing it healthy way and you're not like, extremes, of course, but any way or plan that feels good to you, that's helping you get to your goal is good for you. And that's great. And if you want to share it and if somebody else wants to try it, that's great too. But sometimes I've seen it in like Facebook group pages and comments, you're doing it wrong, or that's not the right way because you're in this plan and people think you have to do it. But really, you want to cultivate your own plan by listening to yourself. And I think when we make a mistake, instead of looking at, and I think I've said this before, try not to look at it as a failure, but as a learning opportunity to get more in touch with your body and what it's telling you. And these wins that we've talked about, dig for them, find them. If you went to bed on time, if you drank more water, if you ate only half the cookie instead of the whole cookie, I don't know there's no too small of a win to celebrate for yourself. And the more you reward your brain and tell yourself, sometimes I've said it out loud just to myself because honestly, I don't necessarily always remember it at the end of the day. Like if I'm at work and I make a good choice, a choice that feels better to me, I don't always remember at the end of the day to write it down, but in that moment, I'm like, ah, I only ate half that cookie. That was awesome. Like
Yeah,
just that 1 second, telling yourself and repeatedly telling yourself the good things that you're doing that you feel good about, that is going to really help you to keep making better choices that feel good to you. It's not better choices over what somebody else is doing, just better for your body that feels good for you. So I had I've talked about many times struggling to go to bed on time and getting up in the morning and all of this, and I have I'm married, so I did talk with my husband about it and how it's making me feel, and he struggles too when we go to bed later, so we came up with a different way to handle our nighttime routine last week. We really rocked it. We went to bed by 8:30 every night. I did my morning walk every day last week. I felt so much better. I felt more awake throughout my day. I didn't feel as tired in terms of working and being productive at work. I did my walk, which made me feel good in the morning and get me going for the day. My food was on where I felt good with the choices I was making. All of it, sleep is an underrated power, in my opinion, in weight loss and just in life in general. I feel we as a society or whatever, we often think, oh, first we can cut back sleep because we have so much to do and we'll just go to bed a little later. And it really hinders the body when you do not get enough rest. So I have been celebrating all week with him. Like, yes, we went to bed on time. Yes, I did my walk. Like, it was a big deal. And it's really something to pay attention to. What can you do for yourself that's going to help you feel good? And when you feel good, the choices you make with your food will follow as well.
absolutely. And, sleep does seem to be the one thing that we are so willing to give up so we can do so many other things. But you know what? Last Saturday, Kevin and I were in bed at 7:54 a.m. on a Saturday night. Last night we
Yeah.
were in bed at 8 o'clock. And I remember being kids. Remember, I want to stay up late. I want to stay up late. And now I just want to go to bed. And I have no shame about it. Like I'm tired. My body is saying it's ready to relax. I can fall asleep out on the couch watching TV, or I can go into the bedroom, watch TV, fall asleep, set my sleep timer, and I'm asleep. So
Yeah.
it's it's so many people think that sleep is so easy to give up, but it should be the thing that we're embracing because our bodies need it.
Well, it's funny, and I talked about this with some friends, like, they were talking to the little girl and trying to tell her to take a nap, and she didn't wanna take a nap, and I was like, "When did the importance of naps go away?" So, like, as a kid, you're told you have to nap, you have to take a nap to get sleep because you're growing and all this stuff, but as adults, we're so busy all the time trying to do so much for so many people, work and families and home and all the other things, but yet somehow sleep is not as important anymore. It just doesn't make sense. If you look at it, sleep is always important and we should always want to be prioritizing it. You can just experiment on yourself. Work on going to bed even like 15, 20 minutes earlier and see how that helps and like build up to a time that you think you'll figure out. Like, I know I feel best when I get about 8 to 9 hours of sleep. When I'm getting 7, that I really struggle too much. So I know over time I paid attention to what time I went to bed, what time I get up, how I felt. So when we go to bed at about 8:30, falling asleep by 9, and then I get up between 5 and 5:30. The goal is always 5, but 5:30 works too.
5:30 is a good time too.
Yeah.
And I had written up a couple of things. We talk about messy, like I always like the messes that we make, but you know what? Messy, mess, messages both start with the same thing. So like there is always something we can learn from the things that we celebrate and the things that we don't show up for the way we had hoped we would. Like there is always a message in the mess. So don't forget to look at that. And the what I do when I am aware enough to pause when I'm overeating, does this deserve space in my body? And there are sometimes like I'll get something out to eat that isn't as good as I hoped it would be. And it's like, am I going to eat this just because I paid for it? Or am I going to make the choice to realize that this doesn't deserve the space in my body? Like, I'm not taking up the space. And April talked about counting calories right now. And when I lost my weight, I gotta tell you, the way I lost my weight, that was the way every human being on the planet should lose their weight. And I was pretty tough in my stance because it worked for me. And I have learned to embrace like, okay, this worked for me. Doesn't mean it's the only way, right? Because Cindy Lou down the street lost 100 pounds on Weight Watchers, and Johnny, I'm gonna just keep making up names, lost the weight doing keto. Like we
Mhm.
all find success in different ways. It doesn't mean it's the right way and it's the only way. And it also doesn't mean that we aren't taking a little bit from Weight Watchers, a little bit from Noom, or I can't even think, or a GLP-1, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't matter as long as it's healthy and it's working for your body. And there is, so I am rolling back like my way is the only way because it's not. It's however you get there that feels good and healthy and teaches you that there's so much more about you as a human than your outside. Like, don't forget to love yourself for who you are. And who you are is all of you. And it might be hard to look in the mirror sometimes with the weight. We were talking about this at work. Like, sometimes when we look in the mirror and we see like the rolls and stuff, it's like, I'm not happy with this. Well, I'm just going to be honest. I love to stand in my mirror with no clothes on and look at myself and then find parts that I like, even if I don't love the part, like my thighs, they're a little full from having lost weight. But you know what? They carried me for a long time. And you know what? If I want to dance in front of the mirror in that moment, I love how they shake because some goes this way, some goes that way. Like, just
Mhm.
remember that you are worth loving, liking, respecting, and being friends with ourselves. Because this weight loss journey, we all talk about how lonely it is, but don't forget we have ourselves to be our support. And just, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's really important that you find something to like about yourself because you cannot hate your way down the scale. I mean, I guess maybe you could, but boy, what a miserable ride that would be, I think. And, you can't go from hating to loving immediately, but you can go from hating to liking to liking to liking, and then maybe finding something that you can love, and then something else, because that's so important too.
I think it was a great tangent and a great message because it's so important to, and I think it can be both, right? It's kind of like in terms of body positivity, that's like big movement, right? Love yourself regardless. And it's a great message. But at the same time, you can love yourself and you can love your body and be grateful for it and want to better it. It's
Mhm.
okay to have both and feel both. I am grateful for my body. And especially, I am a person who, whenever I hear about anybody dying, I immediately am like, back to perspective of I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful for my life. I'm so grateful for my husband and my friends and my cats and family and all the things. But we lose that in the day to day. It's natural, right? You're in
Mhm.
the hustle and bustle of life. And sometimes you don't stop and just say, thank you. Like, I am here. This is great. But, and I just, and unfortunately, I don't have like a better example, but like it's always, famous people because it comes up on the feed sometimes. Like this person
Yeah.
died at this, and somebody just died at like 48 from some kind of version of cancer. It was Kelly
Kelly
Clarkson's
Clarkson.
ex-husband.
Yeah.
48.
Mm.
I am 49. It's such a eye opener for me when I see these stories and this happen. I'm so sorry to hear it, the sad story, whatever. But it does put me back into like, okay, yes, I am overweight and I am working on that. And I feel like I've worked on it my whole life, and that's okay too. Other people have worked on things their whole life, whether it's spending or whatever vice they have. But the fact of the matter is, all my blood work is healthy. I got off blood pressure medication. I have a lot to be thankful for. And when you hear those things, it really does put you back into like, yes, losing weight is a great goal and you want to look a certain way, and that's fine too. But life is so short and literally nobody ever knows. And please, in your day, find a moment to look at yourself and say, I am thankful for me.
Mm.
And I do love me. I might not like everything about me. I might want to change some things or work on some things, but I love the fact that I'm here and I have children or I have pets or I have a spouse or a partner, whatever it is, friends, whatever it might be. It's, I think, a great message, and I'm glad that you included it in the podcast today.
Oh, thank you. Well, and we are, we're so much, there's so much that is good about us, and we forget that because we're so focused on the negative, and our brains
Mhm.
are so trained to go there. And so, like you said, find some time to look in the mirror and just say, in this moment, we're okay and we're great. And I was telling April, I'm learning at work, and there was something that I made a mistake, and I mean, it was totally fixable, but I know in that moment I was very hard on myself. But I also knew that in that moment there was nobody who was going to make me feel better other than myself. And so I stepped away from the situation. I went into the bathroom and I just,
Mhm.
you're okay. You're okay. So, we can be our biggest cheerleader, we can be our biggest comforter, we can be our biggest supporter. It's just remembering in those moments that we can do that and that we're good at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Being there for yourself. And that's why, too, I said in the moment when you do have a win that you feel good about a choice you made, say it out loud to yourself. Thinking is one thing, but if you're by yourself, maybe. But if you're next to somebody too, say it to them. But celebrate it, say it out loud, be proud of that, and find there's and if you're having a hard time finding it, you send Debbie and I an email. We will find something good about your day that you did that is worthy of celebrating.
Yeah, and you don't even have to like just send us a paragraph of your day and just tell us what
Mhm.
it is, and we'll pick out those wins. Because when you're not used to finding them, sometimes you need people to help you get there. I was
Yes.
thinking Mainstream Kid, one of my favorite songs by Brandy Carlisle, and it says, I'm a legend in my own mind. And you know what? Become a legend in your own mind. Get there. It may take you a while, but you know what? When you think good things about yourself and think that you're strong and think that even if you don't believe it, you don't have to believe it, but just say, I am a goal getter. I am somebody who celebrates wins. I am somebody who finds messages in my messy. And you know what? For the longest time, I can go up to my journals right up there and look at gratitude. I will tell you that being grateful for my life and breathing is there on the regular. And sometimes shaving my legs is there for celebrating a win. Because you know what? I don't like to do it. And when I do it, it seems silly, but I celebrate it because it's like I did something I don't love to do.
Mhm.
Too much time.
Yeah. And I think it's a great point that you make about you might not necessarily believe it wholeheartedly in the beginning. And that's such a great point because even throughout weight loss and just life in general, if you want to do something or achieve something, um, and I'll take something outside of weight loss because I do think it's bigger than that because everything that you do in your life contributes to your journey if you make
Hmm.
it become part of you and positive to move you forward. And I've been working on getting into art, back into art because I used to do art when I was younger, but I've never watercolored and I started taking online classes and I don't believe myself to be overly talented in it, but I enjoy doing it. And I've made myself and I've shared my pictures that I've done so far, like with friends. Even though there was doubt and this, that, and the other, people have been so receptive and very nice in their comments to enjoying the art that I'm doing with them. But even if the art wasn't ideal, like the lady that I'm following, she always says, enjoy the process. It does not matter what it looks like at the end because you're just doing something for yourself, right? And finding wins and celebrating things throughout your day is doing something for yourself. Everybody needs a cheerleader. And like Debbie said, start with yourself. You be your own cheerleader. Other people are great too, that adds to it. But coming from yourself is a special thing. And that is something I had to learn. It took me a long time, but celebrating really is an amazing gift to give to yourself.
I love that. Well, I think that this has been such an important message to share just because I think we're taught so often not to celebrate ourselves. And, it's going to be uncomfortable when you start, and just let it be uncomfortable for that 10 seconds that you look in the mirror and say, hey, great job today, right? It will get easier. So
Yes.
it's been such a great time to catch up with all of you. Don't forget to send in questions or comments and share our podcast with friends and family or rate it, whatever you want to do to share our message. We greatly, greatly appreciate.
Absolutely.
And you can reach us at it is
April and Debbie Dish the Truth at gmail.com or the Facebook page, April and Debbie Dish the Truth.
I love when she says it because I always think I'm going to mess it up. So, from my heart to your journey, keep blooming.
Yes. And as always, wake up willing to do something that feels good to you.
Have a great day and celebrate a win.
Yes. Be a gold digger. Bye.